Okay. I'd like to call the Leominster Planning Board meeting to order for July 6th, 2021, 6:30. We have a scheduled public hearing for continued open public meeting for site plan approval for 116 Central Street, Leominster Police Station. Okay. And at 6:31, okay, we're close enough. We have the continued public hearing for special permit approval for 116 Central Street for work in the floodplain, Leominster Police Station. Do I have a representative here that wishes to speak?
Yes.
Yes.
My name is Kevin Witzel. I'm the project manager from Castle Blues Associates with the architects for the project.
People.
And I have with me Patrick Burke, who's my civil engineer as well on the project.
Okay.
My landscape architect, Trish Grady
Good.
Howard. So
You have the floor.
yes, we've met before. There was a fairly decent list of questions and concerns that was raised at the last meeting, and we forwarded off to Stephanie our response on all the things. I think you all have gotten our responses. In that time also, we had a full building committee meeting to review those concerns and what measures we were going to, the city was going to, or the committee was willing to entertain to take care of the questions that were raised at the last meeting.
Okay.
So what we've done is, I wasn't going to go through and bore you with the whole presentation as previously presented, just to kind of give everybody an update of where we are, and recalibrate everybody, if you will. There's our site, the yellowish.
I'm going to get up and move
Here,
to the
do
side.
this one.
If I can. I'll go over here.
Are you gonna make me get up?
Yeah. Oh, there's a chair here that's empty, so. Okay. Yep.
Can you see?
Yep.
So what we have here is, we've shown in this darker blue is the floodplain. The yellow line indicates the delineation between the residence use group C versus the business B on the site. One of the big questions that came up was, one of the big concerns that came up was the proximity of this row of parking to the abutters, specifically the ability to try and screen the new parking area from the residential area. To that effect, we went through and worked with the department and were able to do angled parking with a one-way traffic flow. That allows us to bring the property line, the edge of the parking, from what was dimensioned at 10 foot to 18 foot. Doesn't sound like an awful lot, but that now gives us the opportunity to save the 4 mature trees that were in question at the last meeting. We feel that this will give us a nice green space between the two buildings, again, in keeping the mature trees. Talking with the department and the building committee, this also provides a very good flow of circulation of traffic coming in. So as the cruisers come in, or the staff comes in, and come in this way, right around the loop, and then back out again. It helps to funnel the traffic and minimize any kind of internal traffic jams that may occur on the site in the department. What that also did was, by doing the angled parking, we end up basically maintaining the same number of parking spaces. We only lost 1 space, which, working with the department, was not going to be a big deal. So we felt that that was a very good, it hit a lot of different concerns with one, increasing the buffer, if you will, between the two properties, maintained the existing very mature trees, and helped out with the internal circulation inside the site. So that's the area that was impacted. Again, one-way traffic, save the mature trees. And one of the other things that we did also to try and mitigate some of the light spillage from the site was to put, we put privacy slats around the entire perimeter of the building, of the site, so that we could really maintain, not just along this property, but all the other properties. We've put the vision slats with an 8-foot chain link fence. Again, another measure to try and be good neighbors. And the last thing that we had that was requested by the board was to look at the location of the trash dumpster. We were able to take it from, initially it was up on this corner, which kind of had a little bit of a difficult access from a trash hauling truck, to, we've moved it down to this corner here, which allows the trash truck to come around, back in, and then right back out again. It did not really impact the way that the site was used. It worked in very well actually with the angled parking. So we've just gone ahead and made that modification as requested by the board. There was also a question of what the back of the building looked like. As you can see, we've got the same panels that there are on the front, the same brick that there is in the front. The only thing that's a little different, the only material that's on the back here that wasn't on the front, is we had a second masonry material on the front, which you'll see in the next picture. The band is only on the front of the building. And this is an image that you saw previously in the front to give you a context of what the front looks like versus the back. Not quite as detailed, but still keeping the same elements with the punched windows, the panels, the masonry, trying to not be just a blank facade in the back, but also realizing it is the back, and with money being always an issue on all projects, we were looking to spend the money in kind of the front where we could, without being so plain in the back that it's just, there's no elements. We've got similar elements in the stair towers with the windows, replicating what we're doing on the stair tower at the front, as you'll see. Here we've got a similar element in the front, so we're taking some of the elements from the front, wrapping it around all four sides, but as we get to the back of house, if you will, we're letting some of the more pricier elements drop off and choosing to use kind of the front facade around Central Street as the primary view. I think that was all that there really was for concerns. There was some talk about the emergency generator. We did confirm that the generator is in a soundproof, or not, I shouldn't say soundproof, a sound attenuating weather enclosure inside to keep that as low as quiet as possible. Still realizing that it is a diesel engine and it does start up. They will exercise it probably Monday morning at 9 o'clock, so it should have little impact on the neighborhood. I think that was really all of the big questions that came out of the last meeting that we were asked to address. And this is just a civil site plan showing how all of the storm drainage is being handled on the site. Where everything's being collected, brought into the retention, and then out to Cross Street.
Okay.
And that was all that we really had.
Very good. Seems like you've covered a lot of things. And looking at that front picture, I did think of one question, and I'm not sure. Will there be parking in the front of the building, or will there be no parking, or will there be on-site parking
Right now,
on Central Street?
Right now, there's no provisions for on-street parking.
Okay. I just didn't see it, and I wasn't,
Yep.
I want to ask the question because,
Yeah, we had talked about it with the committee about potentially putting some parking in the front on the street, and it was decided with the input from the PD that they would prefer not to have the parking in the front like that. We do have, we have parking at the off-street parking, and then there's a reserved parking down on the bottom side here, which is another 20 some odd spaces for when they have a when they have a training session in the main meeting room. Handicap is all taken care of at the top here. We did put excuse me. We do have some other handicap for we're required to, I believe, have 5 parking spaces for handicap. We tried to figure out the best allocation of them. We figured that we have 2 for the public and 3 for the department. Figuring that most of the population that's going to be using the building is going to be the department itself. So we gave them the 1 extra space than we did the public.
Is there any provision, if there is somebody with handicap on the lower level, to ramp up access?
Yeah, what we do have is in the back of the building, well, this is probably easy, but
I'm talking about over
down here?
this parking lot here.
no, the grades here are too great to be able to get a handicap ramp up to the front door. So we've got 2 that's why we put the 2 handicap spots up on the top.
Right, okay.
Access from the lower level from a department member. We have this stair tower, actually has the elevator in it. So we do have elevator access from the lowest parking level area up into the building for any member of the department that may be disabled or needing the assistance of an elevator.
Maybe a question for the chief. How often do you get many visitors at any one time?
Oh, right now?
Yeah.
Well, we get some, during the days, we get a good contingent of people coming in for various services. Sometimes we have 2 to 5 people in the lobby looking for police reports or asking to speak with an officer. So then sometimes you get 1 at a time, every so
Yeah.
often, so.
I'm just trying to balance the
Yeah,
4 spaces with the people, the actual use, you know?
I think it worked out fine. If looking, I'm always looking outside. I mean, it goes in spurts and we're not packed all day.
Right,
Business, so I think it's a good number.
okay.
I know, like you said, we considered the angle on Central Street, like cut-ins, but it just took away from like the side, of the yard per se. So we didn't think it would be handy.
We decided we weren't gonna do that?
Yeah, I thought so. I didn't want it, because I used to live at 106, I didn't want to be street anymore.
Very congested parking on the street.
Yeah.
And they packed in and out.
And the other thing was part of the discussions were we didn't want to have a vehicle being able to get too close to the front of the building. From a forced entry standpoint, we've got a pretty good standoff with the berm, and you can see in some of we've got some, this actually climbs up about 5 feet, is it? Or 6
It
feet?
goes to upwards of 3 feet.
Oh, so it's just 3 feet up?
Yeah, but there is a curving in there as well too, so, and then you have seating, you have the seating benches, but behind the benches are actually concrete floor walls. So it's a pretty good area.
Yeah, so
Okay,
one of the elements of good design is to make sure that people can't just run into the front of the building.
right.
So we've picked it up, we've put some physical barriers in the way to then in turn put angled parking or parallel parking right in front of the building. Kind of defeats that purpose.
Okay. Good. Do you have anything else you wish to add?
I think that hit all the highlights of what we were asked to take a look at.
Okay. I'll open it up to the audience. Do I have any questions from anyone in the audience that, on this project? This is the time to, we've had, we had a lot of input. I think you've made quite a few changes that, I think things were positive. So, they looked at them and they accepted it being positive, so that was good. I'll ask you again, do I have anyone else from the audience? Chief, if you got,
Yeah, I was just trying to think what I was gonna say, but,
please identify yourself.
my name's Aaron Kennedy, I'm the acting police chief for the Leominster Police Department. I was fortunate to sit on the design committee and the overall building committee, with like Claire Frieder and fellow officers. Been on the job 26 and a half years. I can tell you, I got a lot of articles about things being built or not built. it's really glad that we're at this phase. I think everybody, the butters, the elected officials, and my department had a say in how this department should be laid out. I think it's a really good fit for the area since I, kind of grew up at 106 Central Street. Good to see that come down. I think it's good for the community down there. I think it'll help everybody to, they see a nice new building going on, that it'll people take more ownership of their property and bring a more group effort for that area to bring it back to make it fit the downtown area. So I am happy the way it's designed, the inside, everything from the cells to where the officer in charge will be, how the interview rooms we made it bigger than what we normally have, bigger than what we have now. Pretty much all the offices will have like a outside be able to view, get some sunlight, which is not as where we are at 29 Church Street. It's either flame on or you're frozen. It's not, I mean, it's a very interesting layout and how the sun raises in certain areas, but it's going to be great being down there. So,
Don't make it sound too good.
I'm going to enjoy this. Something, this is good. It's good for the city. It's a nice entrance into our downtown area that people can come and enjoy, and hopefully we can bring a lot of things to the community that come to us, for guidance and help, or hopefully have a nice time they can sit out front forever. We hopefully have some benches and a memorial like the fire department does, so it'll be down to our station. So a lot of talk about doing that. So that's about it.
Okay, well, sounds good. Sounds like you had good working. Yeah, Council?
Yeah, Claire Frieda, 117 W Drive, Leominster. I just wanted to add, I've been on the committee for 28 years, and we've looked at a lot of sites, we've done a lot of changes. This site had its challenges, obviously, but I think they've been met as best could be. I think there's been a lot of work done by Castle Booth, did an incredible job. We had meetings, I lost track of how many meetings we had for the design and for the landscaping and for the site, but I'm gonna guess it was well over 20. We've been meeting once a week for a number of months. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. It's something that's well on its way. I think there's just a lot of good feelings about it. It's certainly something the police department deserves. I think the entire city feels that way. So, I want to thank the board, quite honestly. I know we had some issues, and I want to thank everybody for rescheduling for tonight. I know this isn't a regular meeting night for you, and you did graciously have a meeting for us and allow us to move it forward sooner rather than later. And I thank Mr. Chairman and members of the board for doing that, along with Elizabeth and Stephanie. It was just a lot of cooperation, and I think it just shows that everybody's looking to do the same thing and do the best thing and the right thing. So thanks for that.
Yeah, thank you, Claire.
Too bad it's taken 28 years.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Worth the wait.
Yeah. The chief had hair.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay, what about the, yeah, the different, what about the floodplain, the issues that you had and what was taken care of there?
Well, what we had, the floodplain was, I'll let you speak to the floodplain part.
Yeah, we didn't have issues, but we had to meet the storage volume, increment by increment, elevation by elevation on this.
Just speak up a little bit for the,
We had to meet the elevations, storage volume that pre-existed the site when it was pre-developed, and increment by increment, so foot by foot, we had to match that on site. We were able to do that, giving storage underneath the building, and then additional storage just for about a half foot increment we needed, and we put that in the subsurface storage that we used for infiltration of the storage.
that we,
I'm sorry, I'm
yeah,
Michelle Richards.
let him finish.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were done.
No, I'm
I apologize.
No,
Okay. Go ahead, ma'am.
Michelle Richards, I just wanted to say to it,
Please identify yourself.
Michelle Richards, I live at 37 Lancaster Street. in addition to that, the trees, the mature trees that were not taken down is right in that area, and by not getting those roots and taking that out, that's gonna help tremendously as well. Because that edge was right on the foot, like right on that. That was a big concern, because that's where the edge of it was, so that was very helpful in keeping those trees.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to make sure we addressed everything and then, you know, we get a deluge sometime, we don't flood out the police department.
We better not.
Yeah.
To kind of
Okay,
answer your question also, to further it is that to stay out of the floodplain, we've taken everything except for the 2 stair towers and the elevator and picked it up on stilts. It kind of is a mixed blessing. The tough part is now we've got to pick everything on the building up. We don't have the ability to use the lower level, but it also gave us the ability to have covered parking, which a lot of departments now are looking for covered parking so that in the summer the car doesn't get quite as hot. In winter it doesn't take quite so long to clear the cars off, the cruisers off. Now they can have their basically the entire fleet undercover so that response times out of if they happen to be at the station, it's a much quicker turnaround at shift change, and if they happen to be in a writing report, need to get back on the street. So that was kind of one of the challenges, but ended up with turn that challenge into a positive for the department.
So how many parking places are there in there? Approximately?
Underneath?
It's actually.
I want to hold you down to the very last one. No, don't worry about it, approximately.
I think it's 113.
Under the building, I think there's 20 something.
The whole thing, yeah.
I think it's 20 some odd that are underneath the building
Yeah,
itself,
sounds good.
which gives basically their entire fleet of cruisers the ability to be under the cover of the building.
Yeah.
It's showing about 26.
So about 20, I can't remember which we ended up with.
Good.
Yes, we have a meeting with Conscom Thursday evening. It was postponed from last week when similar storms blew through and knocked out half the power to the city.
Oh, yes.
They couldn't get a quorum, so we're meeting with them on Thursday evening.
Okay, fine. Do I have anyone else who wishes to make any comments in the audience? I'll ask a second time, do I have anyone else that wishes to make any comments? Third and last time? Do you have any more questions or comments? Board members, do I have any other questions?
I'm certainly satisfied with the testimony that I heard tonight from everyone.
I move to close the 6:30 hearing.
I second.
Have a motion made and seconded to close the 6:30 public meeting for site plan approval at 16 Central Street. Do I have any further discussion? Here none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries.
I move to close the 6:31 special permit approval hearing.
I have a motion made, and I have a second.
Second.
Second by Tom, continued public hearing for special permit approval for 116 Central Street for work in the floodplain, Leominster Police Station. Do we have any questions or additions? Okay, call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries. Okay. We'll go to our regular meeting called to order.
Dean Valier,
Present?
Jason Parre.
Here.
Tom Kerrigan.
Here.
Sal Chaconi, excused. Paul Weiser, excused. Patrick Perla.
Here.
Carol Vittorioso.
Here.
John Susan.
Here. Minutes of previous meetings, May 3rd, 2021.
Make a motion to approve?
The motion by Patrick. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Jason. Any additions, deletions, or corrections? Here none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries. Minutes for May 17th, 2021.
Make a motion to approve?
Motion by Patrick, seconded by
Second.
Jason. May 17th, 2021. Do I have any additions, deletions, or corrections? Here none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries. Plan submitted, special permit for Central Street, Mechanic Street map, 116 parcels. 3, 5, 5A, 9, 13, 14, 26 for work in the floodplain, Manusnock Brook. Are those all the right parcels?
They are the right parcels, we've confirmed
Okay.
that.
Those are the correct parcels. So this requires a schedule. And that would be for our August meeting.
So, we do have to decide on August, there's an August 2nd date,
No, you wanna do it, well,
and
okay.
there's an August 16th.
For August 16.
August 16th,
I'm away.
board members.
So you know.
Doesn't matter, whatever the consensus is.
Okay,
Pat's not here, it's better for me, but whatever.
okay. August 16th,
I mean,
you're here? Okay, I should be here. Okay, so we'll make it for
Six-
August 16th at 6:30.
That's open.
Yeah.
Okay, do I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
second.
Motion by Carol, second by Tom. Any discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries. Old business, site plan approval for 16 Central Street, Leominster Police Station. What do you wish, gentlemen? Members? Do I have a motion?
Do we have any
Conditions?
conditions?
Uh,
I think I can answer all that.
I think that most being answered, I think we're just gonna go with the general department head.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. They have any-
Yeah,
I think there were.
no,
I didn't know.
no, it's that and the conservation, that's all. Subject to approval of conservation.
There was one comment about making part of Cross Street a two-way street, but that was gonna be handled outside of this project by the
Right.
city if they wanted to do it at that point. But that, I think, was the only question from the department heads.
Okay, yeah, but that would be city council
Yes,
requirement, not ours.
correct.
I saw that, but that's all right. Yeah,
And we're not looking to act on that
Pretty small
as part of the project, yes.
right, right.
That's a tight street. I would say it's
I have the stack of the department comments here.
Okay, I want to go to the department comments.
Just wanna briefly cruise through, and these come from originally from the June 7th meeting, so
Okay,
back to then. The police department had comments at that time, but we have the chief here and he's updated on you on the police department comments, so, I don't know that we need to go through those. Building inspector approved, wire inspector approved. Fire department said, he's okay with the site plan, but they need to see the fire protection and notification plans upon submittal of the building plans. So that sounds like something that's gonna be taken care of,
Yes.
the
When we
building
apply
department
For
phase.
the building permit, when that's get issued, we'll have him all the catalog cuts and all the system narratives that he needs.
The DPW did have 7, points of question. I can just read over them really quick.
yeah, okay, let's read them.
Water quality unit 3 shall be moved closer to the parking area so it can be made accessible by cleaning by the Vector truck. Comment number 2, is the existing shallow catch basin being replaced or remodeled? Number,
Oops, sorry, did you want us to respond, or?
Yeah, response, go ahead.
I believe we are abandoning that, and
Yeah.
are putting a new catch basin, and the infiltration is gonna go into that. And what we didn't wanna do is we didn't wanna deal with that existing manhole and the existing line, because it was on an abutter's property through a right-of-way. So we've moved it entirely onto the city's property to alleviate that future issue for the city.
Okay.
Hear me about it.
Alright. And then there's a question, how large is the cleaning port in the Ward Sentry stormwater management unit?
It's 36 inches. It's the standard.
Okay, sewer manholes shall have inside drops. Provide sewer connection details. And then they're referencing Plan C1.01 calls for a 4-inch sewer lateral and a 6-inch sewer lateral is required. get that? Cause you did get these comments and
Yes.
you were able to.
Yeah, we've taken and implemented.
And then the last one is the
can't
traffic
believe you
circulation on Cross Street still going to be changed?
What happened to your flip phone, John?
If so, please provide signage and stripping details for Cross Street.
But we're not gonna do the two-way, we're not changing any of the traffic patterns.
David McKinley responded in a memo answering all those.
Okay.
And then we had some further, that was it from DPW. The Board of Health, Chris Knuth, who just recently retired last week, was able to review this, but he said, please be aware of any potential impacts to abutters. The HVAC units, lighting, and traffic are factors to consider.
We did address that.
Yeah, that was the other thing, that by making that buffer between the parking lot and the butters on that end of the property, it pushes even further the lights for the
Right.
site parking that much further away, and we still do maintain the 0-foot candle at the property line.
Okay.
Assessor did not have comments. Conservation agent, basically said that you have to file notice of intent with the commission, which I think you spoke to. And that was it from department heads. You had my comments.
Yep.
And my memo and the updated
Okay.
memo.
I move to approve the site plan petition.
I have a motion to approve the site plan petition. Do I have a second on that?
I'll second.
Second by Tom. Any further discussion? I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries. And special
Oh, go ahead, John, I'm sorry.
special permit for work in the floodplain. I think that'd be more covered by the, we've had the input, but that's the Conservation Commission mostly anyway, so.
Oh, I make a motion to issue the special permit for work in the floodplain, subject to any conditions by the Conservation Commission.
Second.
Okay, a motion made and seconded to accept the special permit approved for work in the floodplain, 116 Central Street. Do I have any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries. Okay? Happy to vote on those things, and good luck. It's,
Congratulations.
We-
Thanks for working with the neighbors.
yeah.
Let's hope that the prices come in and we can actually build it.
That has nothing to do with us.
Okay.
Yeah, when are you breaking that? Breaking ground?
We're going to go to bid in 2 weeks, so we're looking to have bids in before Labor Day. And with the intention that we should be able to make a recommendation to the building committee, who in turn will make a recommendation to city council to award to whoever that potential low bidder is, and expect them to start working as soon as possible. So hopefully get shovels in the ground before the end of the month of September.
That'd be great. Carry this too.
We gotta get a lot of work done before, there's a lot of little pieces before we get to that point, but yes.
Okay. We've only got a few more things to finish on this agenda. Let's finish the agenda and then, that's okay. On communications, we have a petition 7521 referral from the city council, requiring a dumpsters. We have scheduled for a public hearing. That would be for August 16th at, well, I don't know. I'm gonna say
6:31, or do you wanna do it?
no, that's good, cause
6:45?
that Manusnak Brook thing could take some time. I'd say, 6:45.
So moved.
6.1 is scheduled for August 16th at 6:45. Do I have any discussion on that? Have a motion made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no.
Who was the second?
Second.
Pat?
I thought I said Jason.
I don't know, I'm just picking something.
Thank you.
6.2, design concept plan cluster for subdivision, map 575 lot 1 off of Pierce Street.
I was,
Okay, maybe this could take some time. I forgot about it.
should we have him set up while these people tear down?
Yeah, why don't we take a 5-minute recess? I'll just put a 5-minute recess while we, you can take down your stuff and he can set up his. Go ahead. I'll call the meeting to order. Okay,
How are we doing?
Good.
Wesley Fliss, Whitman and Bingham Associates. As part of your open space community development regulations, it calls for a meeting with the planning board with a concept plan to do a basic cluster subdivision. And so that's why we're here this evening. Great Realty Trust owns a little less than 51 acres right on the sharp turn of Pierce Street, right after, just north of the intersection with Joslin Street. This is Joslin Street here. So Pierce Street makes the real sharp turn. They own about, like I said, 51, a little less than 51 acres, which we show bolded here. The property slopes, high point here, out to the back. There are wetlands that run in the back portion of the property. Woodlands and Massapog is the parcel here that I know is all developed now. And there's some property between the two of them. Some of the city property is in the back here. And actually a portion of the property is in Lunenburg here. The concept that we have in front of you is for a 12 lot, like I said, open space subdivision. We are actually showing a 13th lot. As we get further along in the process, we'll bring an A&R plan back to the board for an A&R plan, A&R lot fronting off of Pierce Street. We're going to cut off this lot here as we get further along in the process, but we're leaving the land together right now so that we can construct the road and make sure that we have any proper easements over that parcel that we would need to construct this road here. Proposing right now 1,260 linear foot, 28 foot wide paved roadway. We do show a sidewalk on the upper side of the roadway here. The grade of the road will come down from like 468 to 418, so there's a 50-foot drop within that road, which is a decent drop, obviously, but we can make it work within the subdivision rules and regulations. We did have a tech review meeting a couple of weeks ago with all the department heads to get some of the feedback from them. We are looking at tying into the municipal sewer, municipal water. One of the comments that came up at that tech review meeting was that originally we showed all force main sewer back to Joslin Street here, but we were showing that force main within the new right-of-way of the proposed street. The comment that came back from the DPW was to put that force main outside of the right-of-way in an easement within the development, and then we can put it into Pierce Street to a manhole, and then at that manhole we'll tie back into that sewer at the intersection of Joslin and Pierce. We're also looking at tying into the water at that intersection also, and bringing it down to the development. One of the comments that came up from Mr. Racine from the DPW was to do a flow test out here just to make sure that there was enough volume of water. The pressure of water shouldn't be an issue. Like I said, we're dropping about 50 feet into the development, so that shouldn't be an issue. The pressure is just a volume of water, making sure there's enough water out there to service this development. We do show catch basins, manholes out to a detention basin in the back here, out to the lower part of the wetlands. I know this is not the board of the Conservation Commission, but the intent here is obviously to limit the amount of work we are doing within the 100 buffer zone to the wetlands. We're not disturbing the wetlands, but we are showing minimal work within the 100 buffer zone. And really the majority of that work is due to the detention basin, and it's the lowest point in the development to get the water out. It's really flatter out here, so we can kind of construct the basin. As I said, this site slopes off in this direction here. We are obviously going to be asking for a waiver for the length of the dead end road. We looked at different options with regards to the cul-de-sac and where to place the cul-de-sac. We could shorten up the road, but if we did that, construct the cul-de-sac where we need the proper landing areas per your subdivision rules and regulations. The grades, if we tighten the cul-de-sac up back here, would make the road a lot harder to construct. And so what we're trying to choose is a better area to construct that cul-de-sac where it's flatter now currently. And so that's why we kind of chose the location of the cul-de-sac. And one of the other options we were looking at is even a longer cul-de-sac to get into the really flatter portion of the property. This kind of met all the needs of the client, but also trying to make the road a little more developable.
How long was that? Yeah, I'm sorry.
1,260 feet. And so we did, obviously, the fire chief was here, so he was aware of it. He didn't really have any concerns. He just wanted to make sure there was enough fire protection out there. And so we are showing multiple hydrants along the proposed street and then at the intersection also. And like I said, as part of, when we get further along in this process, we're working with DPW getting that flow test done and getting those results over to the fire department also, so they have those results, so they're happy with the fire protection, because that was their really concern about dead end roads, making sure that, there's enough fire protection there. So make sure I touch on everything. So open space, so out of the 50.9 acres that's owned by Great Realty Trust, we're looking at a little over 36 acres that would become open space. Of that 36 acres, almost 20 acres is uplands. And so we actually exceed the requirement, which is 12.7 acres. And so we're obviously well and above the required amount of open space on this. But because we're only looking for 12 lots to stay within the subdivision rules and regulations, there's plenty enough room to meet that open space requirement. Area-wise on these lots, all these lots are about an acre. We're looking at keeping these a little larger to make sure that we have enough room to develop on these lots. Obviously, there's some slope to these lots. If we went to the 10,000 or 15,000 square feet, depending on what zoning district we're in with regards to your open space, it makes it a lot harder to develop these type of lots. Like I said, there's some slope to them. What we envision here is to cut it to make these lots here, instead of fill in on this side and make walkout basements on these lots here, such that there'll be some earthwork that will be associated with the roadway and the lots, but we're looking at trying to limit the amount of material that have to be removed or brought onto the site to construct the project. And that's why we kind of chose the road location there, and also the way we were trying to look at the grades and set up the development. So other than that, like I said, it's a concept plan. There's not a lot of, obviously, detail to this project at this point. We want to come in front of the board to get your input on this. Like I said, we got all the department heads' comments. We're obviously going to address any other comments that come from them. As we get further along, we'll obviously submit official plans to the planning board, and also to all the departments again with their comments on there. But we want to get in front of the board tonight and kind of at least get a first look at it and have any questions you may have, and move along in that process.
Wes, how long is the cul-de-sac again?
1,260. So 1,260.
Okay. I noticed that there's an opening to that back one. Down the cul-de-sac. Is there a reason for that?
Yep, and so under the open space requirements, your zoning requirements, we have to have a 35-foot opening at some point, so we showed it at the cul-de-sac. The reason I chose this area is because it's relatively flat going in this direction here, so you can get out there with very minimal site work if somebody wanted to get out there. And so the landowner is working, actually trying to get a land trust to buy the property, take over the open space once the project's all said and done. Obviously, I know the city has taken open space in the past, but it doesn't really behoove the city to do that, because then you take it off the tax, tax roll. And so they're looking to see if they can get the land trust to take over the open space, kind of get the best of both worlds, that it goes to a land trust. And they've been interested in this property for a long time, so we've been trying to work with them and work them into this project. So.
Now, this is the grid. Okay, and this is full-size lots. Now, you say you want to go open space?
We're still going to do open space, correct, yeah.
Are you going to reduce the lot sizes?
We're not going to reduce the lot size, but we're going to propose open space as part of the project. So
Okay.
we're not looking for the benefit of the smaller lots necessarily,
Okay.
but we're looking for the benefit of the open space, and in lieu of the open space, obviously we're looking for a waiver for the dead end.
Okay, I'm looking for the changes of what, yeah.
Yeah, and that's really the only benefit, I guess, and really a benefit to the city, that there's open space as part of this project, instead of trying to develop the whole entire piece of property. And Carol, I know you asked about the length of the road. I know Woodlands, their dead end street is much longer than this dead end street. And so that's why we're kind of trying to.
Yeah, I don't like that project either.
Oh yeah, I know, and that's what we were trying to, like I said, we were looking at trying to do smaller roads, smaller lots, but then we don't really like the way it it develops out. We think that way it's gonna cram everything in, actually create more of a disturbance for land, for the grading of that. Like I said, the end of the cul-de-sac, it becomes real tough to do that.
Yeah.
And where's your, potential 13th lot? That would be an A&R?
The A&R lot right now is here.
One on Pierce.
Yes, it would so have enough frontage on Pierce Street.
Oh, okay, I understand, okay.
Is there any way of bringing that down so you get a better alignment to Pierce?
We actually are looking at that. That was something that came up at the development review committee, tech review meeting. But that's something else that we've talked about with the clients. That's something that we're looking at, is bringing this down a little more here. And right now I do show it is coming in at 90 degrees. And that's what we're gonna take a look at. Site distance, that was something that Mark Cremerini from the DPW brought up, is to make sure that we show the site distance calcs for that corner.
Right.
The good thing is we are coming on the outside of the curve, not the inside of the curve, so, you know, site distance should be a lot better because of that. But that is something that we're talking about, is bringing it in into here instead of further up there. And then making that lot a little better too at the same time.
Okay. Well, this is conceptual, and you've got to come in with your details after.
Yeah, but like I said, I just wanted to get all the questions out of the way now. You know, if you have any questions off the top of your head, at least we can maybe add some of the details later on, address some of those concerns that the board may have.
Okay.
And that's again, same thing why we did the tech review committee already, because we wanted to get those questions out on the table so we can address them in the design.
Now, this is a time if anybody members have any other comments that you don't like, you know, I know we all question the length of the cul-de-sac.
Yep.
And other than that, being full-size lots and with the open space, I'm just surprised with that much space opened up there, and actually that's a better uplands if there's any access for development up in that area.
They don't have frontage anywhere else to bring a second road in, and so then we've been asking for a waiver for the number of streets on, a number of lots on a dead end street.
Yeah.
And that's where, I know that's really what the concern, a lot of times
Right.
for the fire department, is they look at the offset of number of lots on a dead end street. So, like I said, when we brought it in front of the tech review, his biggest concern to make sure we had enough pressure out here for fire protection.
Right.
We had the volume for the fire protection. So that's why we did the flow, do the flow test.
Okay.
And I would correct myself, there are a second waiver, and it's the width of the road.
Oh,
I know
20
your
feet.
requirement is 34 feet, we're showing 28 feet, it's something that, I know we've had a conversation with the boards and the DPW in the past about that width. Is 28 seems to be good enough for the winter months.
Yeah.
Still wide enough for two-way traffic, but still wide enough to, have the streets blocked.
And you've got standard lighting and sidewalks and all
Yep,
that.
sidewalk is on there, we'll make
Trees.
sure we have all the plantings and the lighting, we're not asking for waivers on that. Obviously, with the size of the lots, it's not gonna be small houses out here, so.
No.
They're gonna, they wanna have a nice subdivision.
Okay.
And you got my comments,
I did,
like the
yes.
centralized mail delivery and.
Yes, exactly, yep, I have all your comments done, yes.
Okay.
It's a nice area.
Spot the first lot, there's nothing there, right?
And that's why I think in the past, Gail has tried to do a lot more lots out here. It never really happened.
Yeah.
Really, the number of lots that we're trying to do, we're trying to set up on that lot, we're trying to make it really developable, not a cartoon.
Okay. So in this case, it's not a vote, it's a general consensus.
Yep.
I got a consensus that it looks like it's doable. Okay? Thank you.
Thanks, Wes.
Thank you, guys.
So that would be the preliminary, will be your next step.
Are you going straight to definitive?
I gotta check with the client how she
Okay.
wants to handle it. 'Cause I know in projects of this small, we have gone straight to definitive in the past, so.
Yeah.
And I know she's obviously itching to get going. Obviously, the way the market is, it's perfect time to be developed if they can, but
Okay.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Montezuma Joint, 6.3, Montezuma Joint Transportation Committee. Nomination of Peter Latches, rest of two postings.
Peter Larches, the,
The gentleman that was doing it before COVID.
Yeah.
from the land trust.
No, you're thinking
No.
of, that's
Lanza.
Peter Lanza.
Latches, what,
And you're thinking,
Tall guy,
He-
Peter Larches, the
That's
tall.
Ed, Hepburn.
yes, I thought I cut that off.
All good for him?
Alright.
Lucky guy. Lucky you, man.
We're taking other nominations from him.
No, there.
There's no way should get this thing off. Silent mode. It says silent mode off, and then I turn it on. I don't know.
You're so technical.
Yeah, I know. August planning board meeting schedule, we took care of that earlier.
So you,
It'll be August 16th.
to confirm, there's only one meeting, you don't wanna do the second as a meeting as well?
One meeting in August.
Okay, cause there's 5 Tuesdays in August. We have an
That's all right.
extra.
Four of which
That's
will not
fine.
have.
That's all right.
5 Tuesdays.
Okay, do I have a director's
Or
report?
5 Mondays, 5 Mondays.
5 Mondays, yeah.
I didn't do a written report this week, I just wanted to report that, we did have an economic development coordinator start today. I think everybody's gonna like her. Her name's Amanda Curtis. And, she'll be working on the second floor here, in the same office as Angela, conservation agent. And then, I don't wanna pick on Tom and Sal again, but we need your ethics requirements.
For no other reason than to get it off the agenda every time we meet.
I'm impressed, frankly.
He wants his name on the agenda.
Tom, you need to sign your,
My flavor of non-conforming right there.
His name is usually on the
I got that
agenda
signed.
as not present.
yeah, those two.
Just wants to make sure he gets out every one.
I think the year.
Well, that's all I had today.
So you might as well just hold that.
Okay,
Ah,
well, I think, we had a good meeting and we got a lot accomplished. And, I'm gonna call for that motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion to adjourn, I have a second. Any discussion on that? Here none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Both say no.
Aye.